Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk about my warm-up routine when it comes to first-person shooters. I feel that a warm-up routine is beneficial in the same way that a warm-up routine is beneficial in traditional sports. You can make the argument that you physically warm up your muscles to prevent maybe overstraining or injury, but that isn't as applicable when it comes to mouse and keyboard. I mean, I do use my entire arm to aim, but it's not like I'm gonna throw my arm out of socket or break my wrist for hitting a hot no-scope or something. Really, my gaming warm-up is more mental than physical. I like to be in the exact same state of mind every time I want to practice playing an FPS. As far as order of events go for my warm-up, the first thing I do is transfer all my PvP items in Destiny 2 using my item manager. Then I open up a rhythm game named OS. I'm definitely not under the impression with this game that any skill you garner here will transfer one-to-one to a first-person shooter, but it easily warms me up and I find rhythm games fun. Because I'm playing this for the purposes of warming up my aim, I don't bother clicking along with the rhythm. Instead, I put on an option that makes it so I only have to follow the circles. But as I've become more comfortable with each beat map and song, maybe one day I won't have to use this option. But obviously for now I suck, so I do what works. And the first thing I do is pick a song that I'm familiar with. The next thing I do is gradually pick a harder song that I'm not familiar with, then gradually pick another hard song that I'm not familiar with, and gradually pick another hard song that I'm not familiar with. The beauty of first-person shooters is that if your opponent's doing a good job, they should be hard to read, right? They should pop up in unexpected places, requiring your aim to be on point. That's the idea here, is I'm going to pick songs that I've never even heard of and try to follow along with the circles. I don't spend too terribly long on the rhythm game portion of my warm-up. I just play the beginning of a song and move on to the next, gradually increasing the difficulty. The goal here is to reach a point where you're so uncomfortable that you can't even follow anything on the screen, which should be used as motivation for the next time that you log on. Maybe it won't feel so uncomfortable. I'm aware that most of my subscriber base uses a controller, so there maybe isn't a rhythm game alternative, but that's okay. You don't have to play a rhythm game to warm up, you just need to fall into a routine that you feel adequately warms you up. This could be something as simple as just running a strike. You could even run a strike to music. You could look up like some 180, 200 BPM music, and maybe try to synchronize your shots onto AI. It sounds a little extra, but whatever works. It's your warm-up routine. Make it yours. Regardless of if I'm on a controller or mouse and keyboard, consistency is of great importance. So every first-person shooter I play, I try to make sure that my sensitivity feels very similar, and the same could be said for mouse and keyboard games. I use a DPI of 800 and an in-game Destiny sensitivity of 3. And I try to make that feel as similar as I can across all first-person shooter titles. On the subject of consistency, specifically in Destiny 2, all the weapons and armors have varying perks that can lead to inconsistencies to handling, sprint speed, aim down sight speed, and so forth. I make sure that whenever I transfer my PvP gear in Destiny Item Manager, that it is my cookie cutter standard loadouts. I want these to feel like home. This is why I'm so finicky when it comes to selecting a sniper rifle in Destiny. I want it to be perfect because I know that I'm probably going to use it for all eternity. Basically, the more you use a weapon, the more you get used to its aim down sights, its handling, its recoil patterns, etc. But for sake of spicing things up and adding different loadouts and weapons to my commentary series, I'll often go through this entire warm-up process with different weapons. In the background right now, you'll see me just loading up some typical PvE, doing flashpoints, heroic adventures, strikes, whatever. The point is, I just want to shoot stuff in-game to help me get used to aiming again. I'll use controller lingo to explain this, but in Destiny, your character has a mobility stat that determines how fast you move, and this can vary depending on armors and perk selection. For me, I aim just as much with my left stick as I aim with my right stick, and the same can be said for mouse and keyboard. Changing this stat even by 1 can affect your aim. So I make abundantly sure that whenever I'm starting this warm-up process, it's in a low-stress environment, PvE. In PvP, you feel like the spotlight's always on you, you feel like anything you do is going to get recorded, put on YouTube, you think you're going to get hate mail. These are some of the things that maybe go through my head. I'm sure they might go through yours. Starting up your warm-up in PvE is great because, let's face it, you're not going to get teabagged by an acolyte. So continuing the warm-up, as you become comfortable with your shot, you should be taking riskier shots. You should be doing movements that are pretty similar to movements that you'd be doing in PvP. As you're feeling more and more warmed up, you should be moving on to quick play, a low-stress PvP environment. You'll be doing the exact same thing you just did in PvE, except against a live human opponent, so hopefully they're doing a good job of acting erratic and being hard to read. At the very start of the match, you should be using your bread and butter strategies and putting yourself in positions to where maybe an excellent shot isn't necessary. As the game progresses though, you should be taking riskier shots, making riskier moves, and putting yourself in terrible situations where only your aim can get you out. I'll play a couple examples in the background. Here's what I would call a comfort play. I see somebody's jumping up, so I throw a lightning grenade at the door to block anybody and do a little bit of damage so I can just clean them up with a body shot, as you see now. Now I go for the ammo. I see somebody's jumping up, body shot him, and then jump in the air with my Icarus hand cannon and shoot him in the body, snap to the guy spawning up, and take his face off. I would call this a comfort play because everything was pretty calculated. Since I felt good in those situations, I almost immediately start going for more ballsier shots. As you can see, I'm taking a very unnecessary jump shot and I end up landing and snapping to the guy's face. To my surprise, I actually hit the shot. I wasn't supposed to, but I hit it. As the match continues, you can tell I'm a lot more confident with my shot and start really playing an aggressive snipe. I want to keep a very high actions per minute so that my warm-up is more valuable. What I mean by valuable is I mean more akin to the most intense moments that I will need in a competitive match. But again, as I said before, the more this match progresses, the more I should be attempting very ballsy shots and ballsy plays. Like this nonsense. You never know when an angle like this will come in handy in a competitive match or something. So it's nice while you're in a low stress environment to just throw caution to the wind and try to look for something new and amazing. If I'm feeling adequately warmed up at this point, I'll go ahead and just hop into whatever game mode I wanted to play, into comp, whatever. Here's a pretty gorgeous string of kills from earlier today. I'm gonna stop talking. This has been my warm-up routine. I hope that you put your own positive spin on it and let me know your results.